Nuestra presentación especial comenzará en breve.
Hello and welcome. Beginning of time. Once upon a time, Chaos was born. What's Chaos, you might ask? Chaos is an ancient entity that created the world, the gods and the five races from nothingness. It is an impure entity of darkness that even the demons fear. Yet, a pure entity of light that even the goddesses worship. Basically, it's like El Irah from Magi. Chaos created the world and all living creatures from nothingness. Then the Demon King and Supreme Deity, and finally the Sacred Tree. The Demon King created the Demon Realm and then the Demon Clan. The Supreme Deity created the Celestial Realm and the Goddess Clan. And the Sacred Tree created the Fairy Realm and the Fairy Clan. Chaos then created the Giants Clan. Pretty brutal. Then Chaos created the humans, chaotic creatures. After that, Chaos created the Lady of the Lake and Cat Palug. Cat Palug is the cat that later on will be the friend of King Arthur. The Demon King and the Supreme Deity join efforts and successfully seal Chaos in a provisional form later on known as Hawk Mama. Listen man, this is a story where progress gives the story, not the story gives progress. Just out of the blue, turns out that Chaos is Hawk Mama or whatever. 3,500 years ago, the demon Gothar is bestowed with the commandments of selflessness. Later on, Gothar gets imprisoned and creates a doll that takes over his position as a commandment. 3,000 plus years ago, the demon king creates the 10 commandments. Zildris, his son, he loves a vampire girl. Istarossa, a fucked up angel. Vorudin, an imposter. Galan, a pussy. Melascula, a snake girl. Greyroad, the darkness with masks. Durul is the former king of giants. Monspito is the mouthless dude who loves Dirieri. Dirieri is the naked girl that loves Monspito. Meliodas reigns as the leader of the 10 Commandments but betrays them for his romantic interest in the goddess Elizabeth. After failing to convince Zeldaris to come with him due to his brother's sense of honor and fear of their father, Meliodas leaves with Elizabeth to join Stigma and the Holy Evil War. Zeldaris takes over his brother's position as the leader of the 10 Commandments. A great conflict called the Holy War occurs between the Goddess Clan and the Demon Clan. Albions are created to serve the Demon Clan. Azrath proposes a rebellion to the Demon Clan but fails. Zeldaris seals the vampire in Gilda's honor. The 4 archangels kill many demons including Dirieri's sister, Rajini. The rebellion kills many Stigma members in revenge. Gothar and his doll vanish and Frudian takes over for them. Gina and Zeni run away from war and they borrow the bodies of 2 human twin girls in order to ultimately escape the Goddess Clan. Gothar gives his doll a heart. Ra, the human, is killed by Gloxinia, the king of fairies, for betraying him. Doral is bested at combat by Zeldaris and forced to surrender. Doral and Gloxinia join the 10 Commandments. The hand that you cannot bend might as well bend to it, I suppose. Gothar changes then the memories of Mile and everyone with a forbidden spell resulting in the end of his own life. Mile receives the commandment of love. After Mile is killed by Istarossa, the balance of power is broken and the Goddess Clan forced to take extreme measures. Meliodas is cursed by the Supreme Deity with eternal life that brings him closer to his original self every time he dies and revives, while Elizabeth is cursed by the Demon King with perpetual reincarnation, in which she lives short lifespan as a human girl and forgets her previous lives every time she dies. But if she does remember them, she dies in 3 days afterwards in front of her fucking lover Meliodas. So sad. Eventually, the Holy War results in the Demon Clan being defeated and sealed by the other clans, while the Goddess Clan sacrifices their physical form to seal the Demon King in Purgatory. Meliodas meets the Savage Tribe member named Elizabeth, who dies 3 days after reconnecting with him through her previous life 711 years ago. Harley Quinn travels to the human world after hearing that his friend Delbram and a group of other fairies were captured by a human. He disappears during the rescue, leaving his sister Aileen and the guardian saint of Fountain of Youth. And Delbram takes vengeance on Aldrich Unable to bear his friend's fate, Heroboam slaughters every human he comes across in the following 400 years. What a fucking fate. Harley Quinn finds Heroboam but is knocked unconscious by his former friend, losing his memory of his life as the Fairy King in the process. Diane, a young giantess, pulls the unconscious Harley Quinn out of a river, making their first meeting. 211 years ago, Harley Quinn regains his memories only to find out about Heroboam's murder for the past 500 years. Their tragic reunion ends with the death of Heroboam. Harley Quinn gets captured, then Meliodas takes interest in him.
So sad.
56 years ago, Nadja Lioness, the former lover of Gother, dies from a heart disease at the age of 16. Gother is arrested by Holy Knights and sentenced to death after being wrongly accused of forcing Nadja into vile sexual act and resulting in her murder. Gother throws away his heart and falls victim.
So sad.
46 years ago, the kingdom of Castello is destroyed by barbarians. 41 years ago, Bang gets arrested and meets Zivago, who teaches him how to steal and makes him his adoptive son.
If an animal adopts a human, then who's the pet?
After a failed theft attempts by Ban, some hunters find Celion, a werewolf, Zivago's son. Zivago goes to save him instead of Ban, but fails anyway. 38 years ago, Dorifus becomes a holy knight and meets Hendrickson. 31 years ago, Ban meets Ellen deep within the Fairy King's forest while searching for the fountain and youth, and the two grow close over the 7 days they spent together after initial tension. Their carefree days come to an end after a red demon appears within the forest and burns it to ground. Ban manages to slay the demon after drinking water from the fountain and becomes immortal, but Ellen is killed. Ban is arrested by the Holy Knights and sentenced to death after being wrongly accused of stealing the fountain of youth and destroying the Fairy King's forest. Hendrickson discovers the corpse of the demon in the charred remains of the Fairy King's forest, but keeps it secret regardless. He recovers it and begins experimenting with the demon's blood. 27 years ago, Liz invades the kingdom of Dunfer but is captured by Holy Knights. Meliodas grants her freedom and she joins their ranks, slowly falling in love with him. Meliodas obliterates Dunfer from the face of Britannia after Liz is killed by Frodin. Supposedly having lost himself in wrath, this represents his sin.
Like treason wasn't sufficient for him.
After being sentenced to death, Ban is executed a total of 33 times, surviving all of them. Rock is born in purgatory. Soon after that, the Demon King kidnaps him and sends him to the outside world, separating him from his brother Wardo. Diane, Matorona and Dolores are sent by Holy Knights to attack savages. Dumblebass dies after a battle with Matorona. Meliodas and Diane meet for the first time when Meliodas protects her from a group of knights. Diane and Matorona arrive at a certain location as the orders by the Holy Knights. However, it was a trick which caused Matorona to be poisoned while also killing 330 Holy Knights. Diane is arrested for these actions and placed on her sentence to death, but Meliodas thwarts the plan in the name of Bartra Lioness.
So sad.
26 years ago, the 7 deadly sins are formed around this time. Ban goes through a phase collecting stuffed animals and Green King. 23 years ago, the kingdom of Edinburgh falls victim to a plague of vampires that sees entire population wiped out in a single night after the seal of vampire clan is broken. The 7 deadly sins are sent on a mission to combat the threat of Edinburgh Maiden Castle, killing the last members of the vampire clan. Dorifus is influenced by Frodin to murder his half-brother, the great Holy Knight Zarathustra, with the aid of the corrupted Hendrickson. The murder is framed on the 7 deadly sins, who are accused of plotting to overthrow the kingdom. Marked as wanted criminals, they scattered across the country and go into hiding. Diane loses her secret treasure and Meliodas wakes up sometime after the coup and meets Hawk and his mother.
Casually meeting chaos.
9 19 years ago, Ereberam's body is brought by Hendrickson after floating around the black market for close to 150 years and gives a new life. King Lioness creates Dawn Roar as a new independent order of knights to replace the 7 deadly sins and appoints Ladder as their captain. 17 years ago, the Weird Fangs are formed without any formal permission from the king. 16 years ago, Bang grows bored without his captain and willingly surrender himself to the Weird Fang in an effort to feel more alive. 12 years ago, Arthur Pendragon pulls the divine sword Excalibur from a stone. Dorifas and Hendrickson break the peace treaty of Lioness and Melachia and win the war against the kingdom. More than 11 years and 7 months ago, with his power to see into the future, King Lioness predicts the coming of a holy war. He tries to prevent it from occurring through pacific means, making the Holy Knight restless. Dorifas and Hendrickson believe in that the Holy Knights lack purpose without a cause to fight for, orchestrate a coup and arrest the king. They enforce martial law and the populace is conscripted into forced labor in the name of protecting the kingdom. They never get punishment for that. Elizabeth escapes from the castle in the kingdom of Lioness and begins in her journey to find the 7 deadly sins in order to stop the Holy Knights. Twigo and Jericho drinks the red demon blood. Twigo explodes due to being incompatible to the demon's blood. Diane gets Gideon back and the town of Vaisel is destroyed. King fights the revived Ereberam, killing his friend a second and eventually a third time. Hendrickson and Dorifas are defeated by the 7 deadly sins, aided by the Holy Knights, and in their regime, they never get punished. The 7 deadly sins are no longer criminal and Bartara returns to his heir. Marlin gives Hawk Balor's magical eye. The 10 commandments are released from the coffin of eternal darkness by Hendrickson. Gother uses Lost Word on Diane, which slowly gives her amnesia, eventually leading her to forgetting her past with the sins. Marlin gives Meliodas Love's Vein back to him, his weapon. Galan petrifies Marlin's body. Before that happens, she transfers her soul to Adlan. Diane runs back to Megadozer and reunites with Matorona. A creator named Kath attaches to Arthur. Meliodas regains his sealed demonic power. Miraskila resurrects the dead, 2 of them being Elen and Darataras. Shivago dies from old age, but his soul sacrifices itself to protect Bans.
Pussy, 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 can't you see? You bitches can't turn like him.
Galant petrifies himself due to going against his word after fearing Escanor. Ziridis conquers Camelot. Meliodas is killed by Estarossa 11.5 years ago. The Demon Clan has taken over Britannia, causing commoners to attack strong soldiers. Then the Lioness summons Nerobasta, which causes him to give up his life. However, she gets killed by Derieri. Meliodas gets out of the purgatory and returns to the living world. Marlin lifts Galen's commandments' effect on her body. Grey Road is sealed and contained by Marlin. Furodin is forced out of Dorifas' body by Zaratoras. Zaratoras dies after fulfilling his duties. Furodin is killed by Meliodas. Gustav dies due to his injuries. Hauser becomes the captain of the Holy Knights. Gother regains his memories. Griamor reverts back his regular age after Veronica kisses him.
Of course, a kiss would cure even AIDS.
Jericho learns ice magic. Vivian is cursed with curse engaged by Merlin. King and Diane are attacked by Gloxinia and Dorol. Their lives are spared after they are brought 3000 years into the past as a trial in order to learn about their predecessors' motivation of becoming demons. Diane's memories are given back to her by Gother from the past as a result of the trial. King sprouts his wing as a result of the trial. Elizabeth Leoness regains her memories of all her predecessors, causing her to live only 3 more days. Ereberam sacrifices himself to appease Kogard Grudge. Elaine fully grows a pair of wings after trying to save Ban. Miraskira is put in a container by Marlin. Dorol and Gloxinia resigns from the 10 commandment, while Cusack and Chandler start to serve under Zildaris. Dolore and Gloxinia were killed by Chandler. The 7 deadly sins are disbanded. Margaret Lioness gets possessed by Rudosiel. Elizabeth unofficially becomes the new captain of the 7 deadly sins. Stigma forces a pact with the Holy Knights and the Seven Deadly Sins. Gallant is killed by Estarossa. Peronia is eaten by Kath. Arthur impales himself with Excalibur while being controlled by Cusack's power. After 3,000 years of peace, a new holy war begins. Mons Speed is killed by Estarossa. Everyone regains their memories of Mile. Derriere is killed by Mile. Gother goes into Mile's soul to save him from the commandments and succeeds. Cusack and Chandler remerge to become the original demon. Ban revives Alien back to life, giving up immortality in the process. Hendrickson expels Ludociel from Margaret's body. The remaining commandment heads out to Meliodas' location. Mile gets his grace back. Meliodas' body is possessed by the Demon King. The Demon King is driven out from Meliodas' body by the Seven Deadly Sins. Meliodas breaks the seal cast on Gilda. Chandler is killed by Cusack. Zildur's body is possessed by Demon King. Cusack is killed by Demon King. The Demon King regenerates Elizabeth's curse. The Chimera Indra is released into Britannia, but is killed by the Seven Deadly Sins. Iscanor temporarily takes Sunshine back from Mile. The Demon King is driven out from Zildur's body by his brother Meliodas and the Seven Deadly Sins, and his relationship with his older brother is reconciled. The Demon King is defeated by Meliodas, who sacrifices his body, power, and destroys the commandments forever. Zildur's and Gilda live together. Iscanor dies from Sunshine, destroying his body.
It gets one on the lips.
F's in the chat. Marlin revives Arthur, who becomes the king of Chaos. Kath reveals himself as Kath Balug, a monster who was after the power of Chaos. Arthur temporarily defeats Kath Balug. Marlin sends the Sins, Hawk, and Elizabeth back to Lyoness, cutting ties with them. Kath Balug returns in his final form and fights against Marlin. Meliodas and the others return to help Marlin and Arthur fight Kath Balug. Arthur finally defeats Kath Balug. Then 10 years ago, Elizabeth gets pregnant. Meliodas decides to call their child Tristan. Ellen gets pregnant and Ban decides they call their child Lancelot. Dorivas and Hendrickson then retire from knighthood. Dorivas becomes a sword instructor and Hendrickson opens a potion school. Present Tristan turns 10 years old. Peace and be wise.
苦しみと痛みどこにぶつけりゃいいんだこの怒り誰に訴えりゃいいんだ